Welcome back, Book Fiends, to Wicked Good Books, a channel dedicated to books and things book adjacent. My name is Nick, and I'm the host of this channel. This is Wicked Good Books ASMR. Today's video is going to be my personal most anticipated releases of 2021. I got a decent list here. A lot of these I've been seeing on a lot of other booktuber and bookstore gamers lists as well, so I know a lot of you might have heard of some of these, but for me personally, these are the books that I'm most excited about, starting with books that came out this month. So let's just dive right into it. First book on this list, actually part 1 and part 2 of the same book, is the Death Stranding novelization of the video game by Hideo Kojima. It's actually written by Hitori Nojima and translated from Japanese by Carley Radford. Came out yesterday, I think, February 23rd. For those of you who aren't familiar with the game, Death Stranding is a science fiction post-apocalyptic survival horror game. It's really hard to talk about without giving a lot of story details away, because it's a really complicated, almost convoluted story, but in the best way. The main story takes place in the United States. The landscape itself has been mutated and transformed almost beyond recognition, and essentially mankind, or the last of mankind, has resulted to hiding below ground in these massive bunkers. They have amazing technology and the remnants of the past, but above the surface, the environment itself has become hazardous. The rain is dangerous, and there's also these supernatural entities that make traveling for anybody on foot very dangerous. So the story kind of revolves around this guy named Sam Bridges, who is a courier, basically a delivery guy, and essentially him building connections for all these different bases and these different underground bunkers, connecting all the different workers and specialists together, so that while underground, even though they're apart, by building these connections and building these bridges and this huge network they're creating, so that essentially they can find a way to bring mankind back to the surface and defeat these supernatural foes. That's all I'm going to give away, because it's really hard to talk about that game without giving up too much away. I had seen that it was coming out in Japan right after the game's release, and was so bummed when I saw they weren't translating it anytime soon initially. So when I saw that they were coming out with this one in 2021, I pre-ordered it. I was so excited. I love this game very dearly. Next to Last of Us, it is my favorite game of all time. And the novelization, from what I've read so far, it seems like they put in a lot of work to writing it. It's not just a copy and paste version of the script from the game. They actually put some thought into the prose. I'm just really excited about reading it and for it to be on my shelf. Next on the list, we have A Desolation Called Peace by Arkady and Martine. This one comes out March 2nd, 2021, so next week. I loved A Memory Called Empire. That was one of my favorite reads of 2020. And I am just super excited about the sequel to the story. I've heard mixed things so far from those who've had arcs. I actually have an arc of it, and I was about to start it because I kind of got it late. With the book release coming out pretty soon, I'm just going to buy the hardcover, because I know I'm going to buy it anyways. And I love that first book so much. I can't wait to see what Mahit and Three Seagrass are up to. They were such unique characters in this like sci-fantasy, Middle Eastern and Hindi vibes and culture references throughout the world building, and that's just something that really speaks to me on multiple different levels of interest. The different political factions in this world, even though it still kind of stands on its own. It's very Dune reminiscent. But it's just political intrigue, but there's something about it that's very character driven. Like a lot of good sci-fi that I enjoy. I actually found it to be pretty funny. Like, I actually found myself laughing several times while reading that book. Also has a really cool AI character or AI element to it, artificial intelligence, that I thought was really interesting and unique and done in a different way that I hadn't read before. But yeah, the sequel seems to be about Mahit and Three Seagrass kind of just going about their business in the Empire. And it looks like, without giving too much away, because there's a sequel, I don't want to talk about plot spoilers if you haven't read the first book. I'll put links down below for all these books, by the way. But it looks like after some alien contact, Mahit is being sent as a diplomat to sort of first contact protocol with this race. And that's super exciting for me as a huge fan of Mass Effect. I love that trope. Terraforming and First Contact Protocol, two of my favorite science fiction elements. I'm really excited for that one. I'll be buying that next week. I'm probably going to do a full review of that one as well. Oh, how did I miss that one? You fool. I missed a really big one that I'm excited about. Number 3 on my list is Skyward by Aliya Whiteley. Comes out March 16th, 2021. Skyward within the high walls of the Western Protectorate, is a place of safety where people come together to tell stories of the time before the War of Kita. But safety from what? Kita surrendered without complaint when Earth invaded. Innkeepers Jem and Isley, veterans from either side, have regrets but few scars. Their peace is disturbed when a visitor known to Isley comes to the inn asking for help, bringing reminders of an old unnerving past and triggering an uncertain future. Did humanity really win the war? This one comes out on March 16th. Other than Desolation Called Peace, this is one of the ones I'm most excited for next month. The cover art is gorgeous. The plot seems really interesting. I love a good story that revolves around a tavern, similar to D&D, but this one seems to have like a sci-fi vibe to it. Almost reminds me of like House of Mystery, but science fiction, where a lot of these characters just come in and out like Canterbury Tales or Hyperion and seem to be trading stories back and forth. This one, to be completely honest with you, just gave me Starless Sea vibes, but science fiction. I love a good story that revolves around an inn and people trading stories and facts and fiction being layered and mixed together because of so many different people, so many stories passing from different mouth to mouth. And this one just seems like it has those notes to it where it's about history being told through word of mouth on a different planet, which seems like a terraformed planet away from Earth, and the truth kind of becoming fabricated or maybe exaggerated by how many times the story's been told. And that's a trope that I always really enjoy, especially if it takes place in a science fiction universe on a different planet that's been terraformed. Like, that's just super interesting to me. So number 4 on this list is The Unraveling by Benjamin Rosenbaum. This comes out May 18th, 2021. This is another science fiction standalone story that really stuck out to me, similar to how Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez stuck out to me. And again, I did a review on that book as well. I'll put the link down below. Really fascinating concept. It has to do with identity and how mankind essentially has advanced cybernetics to the point where people don't just live in one body anymore. They live in several, up to 3. And it's about all these different character relationships and how they play out. And then these 2 gender neutral characters in these different bodies having this like forbidden romance and it being kind of broadcasted to the world and being this huge conspiracy. And that's about all I know about it. Just the cover is really gorgeous. I'll put the cover work here, obviously. The cover is gorgeous. The slug line got me, and it just seems like a perfect palette cleanser from all the massive trilogies and series I've been reading recently. Vanished Birds was really one of my favorite books I read last year for science fiction, and this one just seems like it'll be in the same vein. Different tropes and concepts, but it just sounds really interesting to me. Number 5, The Library of the Dead by T.L. Hucho. This comes out June 1st. I don't know much about this one other than a lot of my friends are really excited about it, so I'm excited about it. It has to do with libraries and the occult and the supernatural and some ghost elements, and that's just like some of my favorite boxes to be checked. But essentially it's about this character named Ropa who dropped out of school to be a ghost talker. It seems like they have a sixth sense, and they sort of help pass along messages between loved ones for money back and forth between the dead and the living. And that's just really interesting to me. It seems like she gets in over her head and finds herself mixed in with some occult activities and a vengeful spirit that seems to be consuming the souls or the essences of children. So all things I'm super interested in. I love me a good thriller. I love me a good supernatural horror story and mystery, and it seems like it has all those elements to it, so I'm really excited about checking that one up. I actually got an Alec from NetGalley on that one, so I'm doing a spoiler-free review for that one, both on my Goodreads, NetGalley, and on this channel. Number 6, we have The Chosen and the Beautiful by Niggy Vo. This one comes out June 1st. I'm really excited about this one. It is a reimagining and a retelling of The Great Gatsby. For those who don't know, The Great Gatsby is currently now available in the public domain, which basically means that fellow writers can take the story and rewrite it to their heart's desire. It's always exciting when an old classic finds its way into the public domain. It's probably why you're seeing a lot of different reimaginings and retellings of the story coming out lately, as I've been seeing them everywhere, as well as new editions of Great Gatsby have been coming out by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I actually just got a really gorgeous Great Gatsby myself from Barnes & Noble the other day, but this one, the coming-of-age story about a queer Asian Vietnamese character who essentially, right from the back of the book, Jordan Baker grows up in the most rarefied circles of 1920s American society. She has money, education, a killer golf handicap, and invitations to some of the most exclusive parties of the jazz age. She's also queer and Asian and Vietnamese, treated as an exotic attraction by her peers, while the most important doors remain closed to her. But the world is full of wonders, infernal pacts and dazzling illusions, lost ghosts and elemental mysteries. And all paper is fire, and Jordan can burn the cut paper heart out of man. She just has to learn how. Nikivo's debut novel, The Chosen and Beautiful, reinvents this classic of American canon as a coming-of-age story full of magic, mystery, and a glittering excess, and introduces a major new literary voice. I love The Great Gatsby. It's one of my favorite classics. I really enjoy the film adaptations too, the original and the more newer Leonardo DiCaprio one. But this one seems so much more interesting to me. Not just because it's magical realism, but because you got a female lead who's queer, Vietnamese, and Asian. Like, it's so unique and there's something so special about it already, just off the hip, without even opening the page yet, that the intrigue is there from the back of the book. And now I just want to know what it's all about, and I want to see how this author restructured this classic around their original story. And the cover is absolutely stunning. Lately, Tor in Orbit, my two favorite science fiction fantasy publishing companies, they have been killing it the past couple of years with the cover art, the artists they've been finding. And so hats off to the authors and the marketing team and all the artists that work for those publishing companies. You guys you're outdoing it, you're killing it. You're getting so many people that I knew were just turned off by reading, back into reading again, just pulling them in with good stories, good original work and good story and cover art. So just hats off to you guys for that one. Number 7 is Empire the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I know this one's on a lot of our lists. I'm really excited about this one. This comes out September 14th. I've already pre-ordered both the UK version and the US version. To be honest with you guys, I love both covers, but that US version is just stunning. They're both pretty stunning, but there's something about the art on the US cover that just really sticks out to me and it draws me right in. But I'm really excited about owning both of them. And I just thought there's going to be an illustrated version, so awesome. Thank you, Jay. I look forward to pre-ordering that one and giving you more of my money. To be completely honest with you, vampires are kind of like not my least favorite type of creature in fantasy or sci-fi or horror, but they're definitely not my top list. I do like several vampire stories. I love Dr. Sleep. I'm really enjoying Diary of Blood right now by St. Gibson, so let's sneak this one in there. Really great book. It's a reimagining of Dracula and his 3 brides. I really enjoyed Castlevania. I've read the original Dracula in college. It just Underworld, stuff like that, Twilight. Not my favorite genre of fiction or type of fiction. When I first heard that Jay Kristoff's new book was going to be about vampires, I will admit I was a little disappointed because I love Nevernight so much and I was really curious to see what he'd do next. And then someone read me the summary for this book, and I'll give you a little taste of it so you can maybe you'll have a change of heart like I did when I first heard about this. But essentially, it has been 27 long years since the last sunrise. For nearly 3 decades, vampires have waged war against humanity, building their eternal empire even as they tear down our own. Now, only a few tiny sparks of light endure in a sea of darkness. Gabriel de Leon is a silver saint, a member of a holy brotherhood dedicated to defending realm and church from the creatures of the night. But even the Silver Order couldn't stem the tide once daylight failed us, and now only Gabriel remains. Imprisoned by the very monsters he vowed to destroy, the last silver saint is forced to tell his story. A story of legendary battles and forbidden love, of faith lost and friendships won, of wars of the blood and the forever king, and the quest for humanity's last remaining hope, the Holy Grail. Oh my goodness, had no idea this was going to be like a post-apocalyptic vampire story that is so interesting to me, that already checks all my boxes. I can't wait to be there. Looking forward to buddy reading that with a bunch of people. I'm just really excited for the next Jay Kristoff book, Empire the Vampire. Going on to the next one, number 8, Dune, The Lady of Caladan by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. This one comes out September 21st also. I love Dune. Dune is one of my favorite books of all time, and I'm actually about to finish Winds of Dune, which is my first Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson read in this Dune universe. And when I heard that they were writing a new trilogy set in Caladan about the Atreides family, I had to know more about it. I don't have Duke of Caladan yet. I'm kind of hoping to finish Children of Dune before I snag that one. I put this on the list because when I finished Dune Messiah, one of my biggest questions was, where is Lady Jessica? What is she up to during the time of this book? Because she's absent from that book. And I think from the summary that's available on Goodreads right now, I believe this book is going to be about what Lady Jessica was doing on Caladan while her son was ruling over Arrakis. And that is just appeals to me for so many different reasons. I love the idea of Caladan being the complete opposite of Arrakis, being a water-based planet. And Lady Jessica is one of my favorite characters in the series, so I'm just really looking forward to this trilogy. I kind of want to buy all 3 of them once the 3rd one's up. I'll probably end up buying Duke of Caladan when it comes out in paperback. Number 9, The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. This comes out May 25th. I think what appealed to me most about this one, other than the fact that it's very D&D-esque, is that it has to do with a thief that steals from the wrong person, and the two sort of get thrust together, first enemies, then sort of allies with a common enemy now. And that's always the trope that I'll fall for. I really enjoy it when it's in movies. I really enjoy it when it's in D&D, whether it's a game I'm running or a game that I'm playing in. And so I think that's what appeals to me most about this story. Let's jump to the next one. Number 10, The Tango Root Palace by Marjorie Liu. This one comes out June 15th. I also have an arc of this one. I absolutely loved Monstrous Volume 1. I went out and bought the deluxe hardcover of the whole set. It just blew me out of the water, that story. I really, really enjoyed it. Everything about it. Everything I love about high fantasy and sci fantasy was just all over that story, plus a little bit of Lovecraftian inspiration, and just, I love that story. So when I found out that Marjorie Liu is writing a novel, or rather a collection of short stories that may or may not be related, but seem to have very common themes, and the cover art, just, I had to have it. I love Monsters so much. I can only expect, with her talents and how amazing Monstrous is written, that these short stories will be just as good, if not better. I'm really hoping that at least one of them takes place in the world of Monsters, but we'll see. Number 11 is one of the Tor novellas, Star Eater by Kirsten Hall. Comes out June 22nd. This one really sticks out to me. I love a good horror sci-fi. Having just binged Gideon and Harrow the Ninth and sort of being book hungover from sci fantasy and gothic horror sci-fi fantasy, I'm just craving that kind of content right now, and this one seems like it's going to fit that bill. I'll just read right from the summary to you. Elfrida Rohn will avoid pregnancy if it kills her. In one way or another, it will kill her. Though she's able to stomach her gruesome day-to-day duties, the reality of preserving the sisterhood of Atrium's magical bloodline horrifies her. She wants out, whatever the cost. So when a shadowy cabal approaches Elfrida with an offer to escape, she leaps at the opportunity. As their spy, she gains access to the highest reaches of the sisterhood and enters a glittering world of opulent parties, subtle deceptions, and unexpected bloodshed. Super interesting. Kind of gives me Dune vibes as well as Harrow the Ninth vibes, with the Bene Gesserit and the Reverend Daughters from Harrow. But just the premise in general just seems so dark and eerie and unsettling, and the cover is absolutely stunning. It was a no-brainer for me. I'm very excited about that book. And at last, we have the most wickedly anticipated book of 2021. Those of you who know me probably already know what it is, but it is Slofooted, Tale of Bewitchery by Brom. Brom is one of my all-time favorite authors, top 5 without a doubt. His works, his art has stuck with me for years, and the fact that he's coming out with a new illustrated novel at the end of this year is just like, it means there's very few books that come out every year that, not that we really do this anymore, because we're kind of in a pandemic and they don't really do midnight releases for books anymore, sadly, which they should. But it's one of those books that I will go out like hours before the store opens and just sit outside the parking lot waiting for with excitement, because I just get so amped up and so hyped about this author's works and his stories. Like many others, I do the same thing for Rhythm of War. I'll do the same thing for Electo the Ninth when it comes out. I'll be there on midnight probably, dressed in my skeleton face paint. But since this is my most wickedly anticipated book of 2021, I'm going to go on a full summary here about this one. Set in colonial New England, Slowfoot is a tale of magic and mystery, of triumph and terror, as only dark fantasist Brom can tell it. Connecticut, 1666. An ancient spirit awakens in a dark wood. The wild folk call him father, slayer, protector. The colonists call him Slowfoot, demon, devil. To Abatha, a recently widowed outcast, alone and vulnerable in her pious village, he is the only one she can turn to for help. Together, they ignite a battle between pagan and Puritan, one that threatens to destroy the entire village, leaving nothing but ashes and bloodshed in their wake. If it is a devil you seek, then it is a devil you shall have. This terrifying tale of bewitchery features more than 24 of Brom's haunting paintings, fully immersing readers in this wild and unforgiving world. And that is something that I can say for all of Brom's work. I have all of his current books to date. Every single one of them features original paintings by him that are just absolutely stunning for the eyes. I'm going to put some of them up here so you guys can see them. They're just absolutely gorgeous. They really just immerse you into the world, just like good fan art can do, just like good art in general can do, or good cover can do. But there's something atmospheric and immersive and visceral about Brom's art, Brom's paintings, that really just take his books to the next level, and why they stand out to me so much, and why they have a very dark and dear place in my heart. And I can't wait to get my hands on this one, because I'm from New England. The fact this takes place in New England and Connecticut is really exciting. I love reading a book to take place in my towns or cities or the states that I grew up in. So I'm really excited about that aspect of it. I also love colonial witch America, like witch hunts and the witch trials. That's a topic in a time period that always interests me, and the fact that this is going to have a Brahm spin on it. Just from the sound of that, it is sure to be a hell of a good time. No pun intended. I'm just really excited about reading another Brahm story this year. And when Lost Gods came out, I was just so hyped on that book. I love that book. It's in my top 25. And I'm really have high hopes for this one, even just to go into it as a fan of Brahm's work and be transported into one of his wickedly gruesome, visceral, dark worlds that are also somehow beautiful and thought-provoking and really emotionally compromising. So that's my top 12 most anticipated books for 2021. I'm sure there'll be more books coming in and out of the year they're going to announce later on or that I come across. But as of right now, these are the books I'm most excited about getting my hands on and diving right into. What are some of your most anticipated releases for 2021? Drop them down below in the comments. I'd love to talk to you guys about them. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate the comments and the support I've been getting on this channel lately. It really means a lot to me. I love being able to respond to all your comments and kind of bond and communicate and kind of get to know some of you guys and really see what you like, what kind of content you're enjoying, and also find out that you're enjoying the same books that I'm enjoying and vice versa. It's really cool. As with all my videos, I'll put links down below for all of these different books I mentioned on this list. I got all my information and dates from Goodreads, so if any of them are incorrect, please feel free to drop a comment down below and I'll have no problem going in and changing the dates for the releases. I'll include those two down below. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Stay wicked.